welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited about today's episode. This is our ritual for the month, and we are talking about the Autumnal Equinox, which is this Sunday, the 22nd. And I love the equinoxes. I love the solstices as well, but there's something so special about the transition from summer to fall and the transition from winter to spring that just, there's magic in the air. There is absolutely magic in the air. And although I love summer so much, I've grown to have such a deep connection to fall. I think that fall is one of the most important seasons. It's this softening, this slowing down, this surrendering after the fiery, active, often overwhelming, exciting energy that summer brings to us. And fall just holds magic. It holds so much magic. It does mark the end of Virgo season. The 22nd is the first day of Libra season, and that is a big shift in energy. But before we get into the energetics of it all, let's talk about the history and the roots of the autumnal equinox, because that history is part of what makes it so rich and sacred, part of what is so potent about the energy of these earth-based holidays, because they were created so long ago for a reason, and they've been celebrated and honored for so long and in so many different ways by different cultures and traditions. So we are going to get into all of that. To start, let's talk about the name equinox, which comes from the Latin. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it means equal. And then nox, which means night. And at the equinox, the days and nights are said to be equal in length for everyone across the globe. And that is true. They are approximately equal. The solstices are the most extreme days, and the equinoxes are the most balanced. The equinoxes mark the 2 days of the year when the sun is exactly above the equator and we have equal amount of day and night, dark and light, balance. And it marks the beginning of autumn or fall, and it lasts until the winter solstice, which of course we will have our ritual for the winter solstice when that time comes. And it marks the official time where summer ends, which I used to hate, and now I absolutely celebrate. And part of that is because of my newfound reconnection and love and devotion to these seasonal holidays and connecting to this way of living, seasonal living, and honoring the earth and these ancient traditions and witchcraft in some ways, some might say, especially depending on how you define the word witch. Speaking of which, in paganism, this time was known as Mabon, and it's sometimes known as the witches' Thanksgiving, and it celebrates the abundance that has been found through summertime, especially through the harvest holiday Lughnasadh or Lammas, which we talked about last month. And Mabon is a ritual that gives thanks for the harvest and also emphasizes the need to share and connect with others and share our abundance in the coming winter months. It's the second of the three pagan harvest festivals. So we have Lammas or Lughnasadh and Mabon, and then later on we will have Samhain, which is Halloween. And Mabon is a relatively modern pagan holiday, and it's based on the cycles of the sun. And it's really a time to celebrate and honor the darkness that is coming while giving thanks to the sunlight that we just basked in, and to also pause in this balance point, in this in-between point. And while I have grown to love to lean into these pagan holidays, I also find it really interesting to honor and learn about other traditions and ways that other cultures celebrate this time. So, for example, in Japanese culture, the autumnal equinox is celebrated with the tradition of Higan. And please, I apologize if I am pronouncing any of these incorrectly. I know I'm pronouncing them poorly. But this is a time to remember deceased relatives and mark the passing of the seasons. It lasts for 7 days and begins 3 days prior to the equinox and ends 3 days after it. Then there's also the Moon Festival in China, which is their mid-autumn festival. And it's celebrated on the closest full moon to the September equinox, which is known as the harvest moon. And again, this is their time to celebrate the summer harvest. And then lastly, Navaratri is a Hindu festival, which also lasts for several days in autumn. And the festival honors the divine feminine Devi or Durga, who we learn all about in yoga, and is celebrated in the first half of the Hindu calendar month, which falls in the months of September and October. So it is just really interesting to me how all these different cultures have traditions that celebrate a similar energy at a similar time. This abundance, this harvest that we're celebrating after the summer season and moving into winter season, and sharing this harvest with others and basking in what is present in our lives in that way and celebrating it, really basking in that joy. And I love the cultures that really take the time to celebrate these holidays. Like, they dedicate days to celebrating these holidays, and it is a big part of their life and their culture. And I wish we had that more in America, but that's something that I am hoping to bring through Intuitively Wild more and more. And before we get into the ritual, I also want to take a note on the human design gates present during this time. So from the 21st to the 23rd, we are moving through 7 different throat gates. And there are only 11 gates. So we're really moving through these throat gates. And that means that different energy in our throat will be activated during this time. And so that means that pretty much all of us are going to feel this in some way, because it's rare that someone would have all of those gates active in their chart, although it's definitely possible. But you will feel this especially if you have a completely open or undefined throat center, or if you only have one channel or one hanging gate, or if you just don't have all 7 of these gates that are going to be active during this time. It's bringing out a different energy. And you'll especially feel it if you have the corresponding hanging gate, which means that once this throat gate is activated, it will connect to the corresponding gate and create a channel. And then you'll have that full channel present in your chart at that time. And so if you're curious if this is making sense to you or sparking your researcher mode, the gates that we will move through from the 21st to the 24th, actually, all in the throat center, are gate 23, gate 8, gate 20, gate 16, gate 35, and gate 45, and gate 12. So if you are confused by this, you can leave it, totally fine. If you are confused and you want to know more, reach out to me and we can talk about that. I would love to talk about where this is landing in your chart, what this might mean for you, how this might show up for you, and how you can work with this energy, how you can move smoothly through this energy. And some of these gates are projected channels, some are generated channels, and some are manifest channels, which just speaks to the way that this energy shows up and how we can utilize it. Because each throat gate holds a different energy. It's not just about communication. Yes, you might be communicating differently or have more access to communicating clearly or more convincingly, but the throat center is also connected to manifestation. So you might have more ability to speak into existence what you are hoping to create. So I would be really careful with your words. Remember, words are spells, and what we speak, we can create. What we speak into the world has an impact. And especially during this time, especially when I'm looking at the specific gates that are going to be activated, it is about manifestation. And manifestation in a very grounded and tangible sense. Bringing into reality what you speak, what you want to create. So I would just pay attention to your communication at this time. Are you speaking when you are in the mood to? Are you speaking when you are invited to? Are you speaking when you feel really called to? Or are you speaking because you feel like you need to, or you're just feeling space, or you're getting really activated and getting into unhelpful arguments or discussions? Do you feel like you're speaking to people who are receptive to what you are saying, people who want to hear what you're saying, who are excited to hear what you're saying? Be cautious with your communication at this time and speak from an intentional present place, because when you do that, you don't have to worry about it. And knowing that this throat center, this manifestation center, will be activated during this time highlights even more the importance of ritual and ritualizing intentional living, because that means that we are present and we are connected to ourselves and aligned with ourselves. So with that being said, let us get into the details about our ritual for the autumnal equinox. So fall is connected to the earth element, and that is really the root of our ritual, the foundation of our ritual. If there is one thing you take away from this episode and from this ritual, it is to get connected to nature. If the only thing you do is step outside and breathe in the fall air and smell the fresh fall smell, that is enough. That is all the ritual you need. This is a time to get rooted in nature. So have that knowledge that fall is the earth element be your foundation for this time and for your rituals and intentions during this time. So as always, we will start with altar suggestions. So it is time to refresh our altars. What we once dedicated and devoted to the summer sun and energy, we are now dedicating and devoting to the falling leaves and transforming colors. So we want to start by clearing our space. If you already have an altar, clear it, completely clear it. Remove any items on it. Even if there are some that you are going to put back on, this is a time to start fresh with new energy and new intentions. And if you don't have a designated altar yet, that is totally fine. You can create one. You can choose a desk or buy a special piece that is your altar, or just a corner of your room, a cabinet. It doesn't matter. Just choose a space where you can, most importantly, conduct your ritual with space and freedom and safety. And two, where you can place altar items on so that you can cultivate the energy of your intention and connect to it throughout the autumnal season. If you want, you can place a tablecloth or some napkin or fabric on your altar with autumnal colors, so reds, oranges, golds, yellows, or just have that be kind of the theme for your altar going forward. And we're going to move through each of the main elements to construct our altar. The first being ether, which is space, which is the altar container itself. And after that, we're moving into earth, which, like I said, is the most potent during the autumnal fall season. And one way to bring earth onto your altar is by choosing a physical symbol from nature that represents fall for you. And again, you want to place this on your altar or somewhere you can see it every day. And for me, this means going outside and finding a leaf that has fallen from the ground and placing it on my altar. And this could be you going outside and finding anything from nature that represents fall for you. You can also create a piece of art that represents fall, or put a picture that represents fall, or a vision board. I also recommend picking a designated vase for your altar and regularly placing fresh or dried plants in there that embody fall for you. I prefer dried flowers, one, because you don't have to replace it so often, and two, because I just love dried flowers. There's something magical about them, but that's a whole other conversation. But you can make it a whole outing and go to the garden store and pick your favorite fall flowers. Or I love to choose dried herbs from my farmer's market. It's up to you, but that can be another part of the ritual, is going out and collecting your items for the altar. The most important aspect is finding a tangible piece of nature to bring into your home to connect with fall, with this season, with this energy, and with your intention every day. The next element is water. So my recommendation for this is our grounded elixir from the online apothecary. And honestly, this is the suggestion. This is what I think you should do. Because first of all, it's a liquid. It's the water element. Second of all, it is called the grounded elixir for a reason. It connects us to earth. It connects us to ourselves. It's here to soothe your anxiety, to support your mental health. And that can be really important during the shift in seasons, even though we're moving into the earth element, which is very grounded. The shifting of seasons can be ungrounding because it's a complete shift in energy and in the element, in the air, in what's going on around us. And also, the grounded elixir contains apple cider vinegar and cinnamon, which are perfect for fall, and apple is associated with the water element. So this is the perfect option for not only your altar, but also a daily autumnal ritual. Next, we are moving into air. So I always come back to incense. I honestly don't think an altar is complete without incense. There's something so sacred about incense, watching the smoke billow and rise. It feels like I'm connecting to spirits and I'm connecting to the wise wisdom around me and the energy around me. And I know that sounds, maybe it doesn't. Whenever I don't always realize how esoteric and spiritual I am until I start saying things that in my head I don't question. Like, they are not woo woo or weird in my head. It just it makes sense. Like, that is what it is. And I've started lighting incense almost every day. And there's just something, I feel like I am connecting to something. And maybe that will reveal itself more and more to me in the future. But incense is our air altar item. And for fall, our recommended scent is lavender and sage. Both are associated with air energy, with the air element, and they are associated with autumn and will really help you ease into and embrace this seasonal shift. So for fire, again, I don't think an altar is complete without a candle. And maybe you can tell that my strongest sense in human design is scent, because I am all about the scents. I'm all about the smells. And I want you to choose a smell that symbolizes fall to you, whatever that may be. Maybe it's a scent from your childhood or one that embodies the energy you want fall to hold. Fall scents are actually some of my favorite, and that's partially because I only use them during the fall season. And then there are some scents I only use during the winter holiday season and some only during the spring season. And I love doing that because it makes them extra special and they hold the memories and the magic of that time. So I've been eagerly awaiting my time to light up all the apple, cinnamon, autumnal, fall candles. And now is the time. This is the day. Today is the day. And as I will always remind you, setting up for the ritual is part of the ritual. So clearing out your old altar and putting the flowers in the vase and going outside and collecting a leaf from nature and placing it on your altar and lighting your incense and lighting your candle and really smelling the smells around you and watching the smoke billow around you and putting your crystals on your altar. All of this is part of the ritual. So I want you to do it with intention and with presence and really arrive in the space and take in the space around you. And once you have done that and you've set up your space, you can even put on some music if that feels good. Turn off the lights or dim the lights or close your windows or open your windows, whatever. Setting up your environment in a way that feels aligned and supportive for you. I want to move into the yoga therapy tools. And the first is a visualization meditation. And if you are a paid subscriber on Substack, you received this meditation during one of our Ritual Root and Reconnect episodes, our weekly intention setting episodes, last month, I believe, maybe in July. And I guided us all through this meditation I created and am calling the Lighthouse Meditation. And I'm not going to guide us through the full meditation right now. We'll do a really mini quick version, mainly just to give you the visual and the essence and the energy. It's not really even going to be the meditation at all, just the visualization of it so you can recreate it for yourself later. And if you would like to receive the full meditation, you can either reach out to me and I will send it to you, or you can subscribe to the paid tier on Substack and you will see it there. So if you are in an environment or situation where you can close your eyes and really go inwards and start to embody the essence of this meditation a little bit, that could be really lovely. If you're not, just listen and take it in and maybe start to think about how you want to embody this and create this visual and this essence for yourself when you construct your ritual. So when you do connect to this meditation and this visual, you want to be firmly rooted and grounded to the earth in some way, whether that's lying down, whether that's feet planted on the earth, whether that's seated, someplace where you feel grounded. And you're going to want to close your eyes. And when you're on your own, you can start by just listening to your breath and getting present with yourself, noticing how your body feels, how your mind feels, if there are any emotions coming up and swirling within you. And when you're ready, you want to imagine that there is a spiral staircase within you. And you want to see yourself walking down this staircase into the center of your being. And while you're walking, you are shedding layers of yourself that no longer serve you. You are shedding conditioning, you are shedding projections, you are shedding old stories, labels, attachments, anything that has been weighing heavy on you that is not a part of you anymore, or that is ready to be released, ready to be let go of, old skin that is just ready to fall away. And the further and further you walk down this spiral staircase to the center of your being, the more that just falls away. And as you get to the bottom of the staircase, pause and notice who you are now. At the core of who you are, when you've gone deeper than the skin, deeper than the attachments and the stories and the projections, deeper than all of it, the core of who you are. And as you look around you at the space you're in, at the core of your being, you see a light switch. And you go and you switch on the light. And this light is the essence of who you are, the truth of who you are. And notice if the light feels bright, if it feels dim, if it feels consistent, if it's stuttering on and off. And also notice if there was any hesitation or resistance or fear or excitement or hope or joy when you went to turn on the light. And also notice if there was any of those feelings when you started to connect to that light. And imagine the light getting brighter and brighter so that it is emanating out from within you and starting to shine from the core of yourself out into the world. And that light is the lighthouse that is drawing in the right people and places and things, opportunities to you. Your essence, your core, your energy, that lighthouse, that is the truth of who you are. That is what attracts things to you. And that light is always on. You have now turned the lighthouse on. How does that feel? What does that mean to you? And if it feels safe, if it feels good, if it feels okay, leave that light on and walk back to the staircase and slowly start to walk back up the spiral staircase. And know that you have shedded the skins. You've shedded this past self. You've turned the lighthouse on. You are someone new. And that light is always emitting from within you. And after you've moved through that, after you've walked back up the staircase and started to come back to the present moment, I really want you to journal on what that brought up for you. If it felt easeful and exciting, if the light felt bright and full of hope and joy, and if it felt good to shine it out into the world, if it felt good to shed the old skins and you felt ready, or if you felt resistance and fear and you didn't want to turn the light on, or you didn't want to keep the light on, or you didn't want it to shine out into the world, or if you wanted to hold on to the old skin and stories and didn't feel ready to let them go, or a combination of both. Really take time in that meditation and afterwards and write down everything that came up for you. And the other yoga therapy tool that I want to share with you is a hand mudra. And a mudra is a hand gesture. It's kind of like a pose for our hands, and it holds an energy. It represents a certain intention. And in Sanskrit, mudra means gesture or seal. So it's really expressing an energy and an intention and sealing in your energy and your intention. And the mudra that we are going to use for our ritual this month is called the Pushpaputa hand mudra. And this mudra is created by placing your hands together so your pinky fingers and outside edges of your hands are touching and palms are facing up as if you're creating a cup with your hands. And energetically, this symbolizes both receiving and giving. It opens you up to receiving abundance and giving abundance. And it's the perfect symbol of balance for this equinox. So you can do this at any time in your ritual, maybe after your meditation or even during your meditation. You can do it to open and close the ritual. You can do this throughout the autumn season to reconnect you to your intentions. Find what works for you and utilize the mudra in that way. And next, we are going to talk about our herbal companions. So the first that I chose is cinnamon because cinnamon brings in abundance and protection and magic. It strengthens your heart, provides circulation throughout your bloodstream, and just makes everything taste good. But in magic spells, cinnamon is known for protection. So you can place it in front of your doorways, you can place it around your altar, anything that you kind of want to protect and also bring more abundance to. The next herb is rose hips. So rose is the ultimate self-love plant, and rose hips are the seed from which the flower blooms. And this herb promotes self-love and helps you treat yourself with gentleness and compassion. It deepens your ability to connect with and feel love towards others and to let yourself be loved. And it also nourishes and strengthens all the systems in your body. And rose, the beautiful flower, gets all the notoriety, but a rose can exist without rose hips. And rose hips, they are so nourishing and so abundant in their own right. And I think it's a perfect reminder that the seed from which the plant comes from can be just as powerful and hold just as much magic and its own kind of magic. So that's one reason why I chose rose hips. And lastly, ginger. Ginger stabilizes your energy, it strengthens your immune system, and it's a root, so it strengthens your sense of groundedness and connection to the earth. And it's really good in all sorts of autumnal potions and drinks and remedies, and I just love ginger. I use ginger in so many of my remedies, especially my fire cider, and nothing screams fall like fire cider. Fire cider is a kind of herbal elixir, and if you're interested, I can go into more detail about fire ciders and how and why and the details of how to make them and how to use them in next month's solo episode, because if there's one remedy to have in your herbal medicine cabinet from fall through winter, it is fire cider. And I do believe that I have perfected the art of making fire cider because they can be kind of intense, and so people don't like to take them all the time, but I've really perfected my recipe so that they are delicious. Anyway, let me know if you're interested in that. Moving on to our journal prompts. What did your summer harvest bring you? What was this summer season for you? What lessons did you learn? Who did you become? In what ways have you grown? What are you ready to let go of? What is your association with autumn? What memories, feelings, and emotions does it bring up for you? What are you ready to embrace this season? What are you ready to leave behind? What does nourishment mean to you? What does it look and feel like for you to be nourished in every aspect of your life? And as always, these will be written out in the ritual blog post and Substack. So if you didn't get all of that, no fret. But I want you to take as much time as you can to answer all these questions and really to just nourish yourself with the space to sit with this shift in seasons. We are starting to prepare for winter. We are slowing down. We are releasing any excess and nourishing ourselves from the inside out with more focus and intention. Summer is a very external time, and fall is a time to slow down and come back to ourselves and have this check-in, to check in with where we're at internally and to really provide for our needs. And so in order to do this is still part of the journaling, but is bringing us even more into the intention setting. I want you to write out the core components of your life, to categorize them. You can do this in many ways, but here are some suggestions for categories and probably what I am working with for my ritual. Work, relationships, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and creativity. Adjust and shift as needed. I'm actually really curious what your categories are, what the core components of your life are at this time, so let me know. But once you've decided and written out these categories in your journal, under each, write about how it looks and feels for you to be nourished in this area of your life. Right where you may be feeling depleted and where you are feeling nourished. And write 1 to 3 things you can focus on to nourish yourself in each category throughout this season. So, in case you haven't caught on, I'm really leaning into this essence of nourishment for autumn. I'm really feeling like we need to embody and lean into nourishment. Autumn is for nourishment. So our intention for autumn is to nourish ourselves in every aspect of our life. Our words for autumn are nourishment, play, grounding, discernment, stability, abundance, connection, and creativity. Because nourishment requires balance, just like the autumnal equinox requires us and asks us to lean into balance, but balance in an individualized and flexible and nuanced use of the word. What is balance and nourishment like for me in this moment? What does it mean to be nourished in each area of my life in this moment? And that doesn't mean that we're going to be equally nourished and full in every aspect of our lives. It's about what is needed in this season of my life for this area of my life. What is nourishment for me in this area of my life right now? And so some mantras to play with for this season. I prioritize nourishment for my mind, body, and soul. I am grounded within myself. I am surrounded by abundance in every area of my life. I am protective of my energy and generous with my spirit. And I highly recommend choosing one of these mantras or creating your own that connects you to nourishment and reminds you of your intention for nourishment, and writing it down. Writing down the word nourishment, underneath it writing down this mantra, and underneath it writing down the action steps that you created for each area of your life to stay nourished throughout this season. And placing that on your altar for you to connect with in your rituals daily, at least weekly. Fall is such an important time to connect to nourishment. And something in me is telling me that we really need it right now. I really hope that you nourish yourself with enough space and time for this ritual, and really, really celebrate and honor and devote yourself to this shift in seasons and this next chapter of your life, because it is going to be a special one and a powerful one, and one where you have the capacity and the choice to show up for yourself in new ways, in devotion and dedication to yourself and your life and your needs. With all that being said, I hope that this ritual serves you. I hope that it brings so much magic and connection to your life. And I can't wait to hear about how it goes for you. I can't wait to do this ritual myself. And I can't wait for fall. Thank you all so much for being here. Please be in touch. Let me know how this ritual goes for you. If you loved this episode, if you love this podcast, it would truly mean the world to me if you were to rate and review the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And either way, I'm so grateful for you all for being here. And I will see you next week for more magic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.